Have you ever sat by someone's side, knowing their time was drawing near, and felt completely lost for words? You wanted to say the right thing, something comforting, but instead you were left in silence, unsure if anything you said would make it better, or worse. You're not alone. These moments, the final conversations, are some of the most delicate we'll ever experience, and they stay with us forever. In today's video, we'll gently walk through 7 things you should never say to someone who is dying, based on the real experiences of hospice nurses who have sat quietly beside hundreds of patients in their final hours. You'll learn what to avoid, what to say instead, and most importantly, how to be present in a way that truly brings peace to your loved one. Because in the end, it's not about saying the perfect thing, it's about showing up with love, honesty, and a listening heart. Before we begin, I kindly invite you to like this video if you believe these conversations matter. If you haven't already, please subscribe and turn on the bell. Your support helps us continue sharing wisdom that truly matters, especially in life's quietest and most meaningful moments. Now let's begin with the very first thing we should avoid saying. #1. I know what you're going through, a painful assumption. The first phrase hospice nurses quietly warn against is one we often say with the best intentions. I know what you're going through. It sounds kind. It sounds supportive. But for someone nearing the end of life, it can feel like we're trying to walk in shoes we've never worn. Because the truth is, even if we've watched someone else pass, even if we've faced illness ourselves, we don't really know what this person is feeling right now. Every end-of-life journey is deeply personal. It's shaped by that person's regrets, memories, relationships, and private fears, most of which they've never spoken out loud. And when we say, I know what you're going through, it can sound like we're minimizing the uniqueness of their pain. Let me tell you about Raymond, an 81-year-old former teacher I once sat with during a hospice visit. He said quietly, the worst part isn't the dying, it's that people keep telling me they understand, when they've never once asked what I'm feeling. He didn't want advice. He didn't want comparisons. He just wanted to be seen, fully, honestly, and without judgment. So instead of saying, I understand, here's what you can try. I can't imagine what this feels like for you, but I'm here. I'm listening. Those simple words create space. They say, this is your story. I'm not here to fix it. I'm just here to walk beside you. And that is a far greater comfort than any explanation. #2. Stay positive, the pressure to be strong. Another phrase that may seem supportive on the surface, but can hurt deeply is, stay positive. Or even, keep fighting. We say these things with love, with hope, sometimes even with desperation. But hospice nurses say this kind of encouragement can feel like pressure, especially to someone who is quietly coming to terms with the end. Telling someone to stay positive can unintentionally send the message that if they do feel fear or sadness or tiredness, they're somehow doing it wrong. That their grief needs to be hidden behind a smile. That their strength should come in the form of bravery and cheerfulness. But the truth is, dying is not a battle to be won. It's a moment of letting go. A time of deep reflection, quiet acceptance, and peace. I remember a woman named Dorothy, who was 77 and had lived through cancer 3 times. When her time in hospice came, she said, the hardest part isn't my body breaking down. It's that people keep telling me I can beat this. I know I can't. I just want them to sit with me without pretending. What gave her peace wasn't motivation. It was permission to rest. It was hearing someone say, it's okay to feel tired. I'm here with you just as you are. And that is the quiet strength that matters most at the end of life. Not a forced smile. Not a final push. But the freedom to let go with dignity. #3. It's all part of a bigger plan, when faith feels forced. You might have heard this phrase before, maybe even said it yourself. It's all part of a bigger plan. Everything happens for a reason. And while those words can come from a place of deep faith or personal belief, they don't always bring comfort to someone who is dying. In fact, hospice nurses say this phrase often causes more disconnection than peace. Why? Because when someone is in their final days, what they often need most is the freedom to feel, not a spiritual explanation for their suffering. They may be searching for their own meaning or questioning everything they once believed. And when we say it's all part of a plan, it can feel like we're dismissing their pain, or covering it with a blanket of words that don't fit their heart. I once heard the story of Mr. Harold, age 81, who was struggling with fear and uncertainty. A well-meaning friend leaned over and whispered, this is just God's will. But instead of calming him, those words made Harold feel small and alone, like his sadness was being pushed aside. What Harold wanted was someone to simply say, I'm here. I don't have the answers, but I won't leave you. There is strength in silence, in presence, in honesty. You don't have to solve a dying person's pain. You don't need to explain why it's happening. Just walk with them. Sit with them. Let them talk or be quiet. That kind of companionship, free from answers, is more comforting than any philosophy. #4. Don't cry. Why suppressing emotion hurts more than it helps. Another phrase hospice nurses often hear, and gently warn against, is this. Don't cry. Be strong. Stay positive for your family. And while these words may seem supportive on the surface, they often cause harm beneath. Why? Because they deny something sacred, a person's right to feel, grieve, and express what's inside their heart. When someone is nearing the end of life, emotions run deep. Fear, regret, sadness, gratitude, even joy. It's a whirlwind that deserves space, not suppression. When we say don't cry, we unintentionally tell them, your feelings are uncomfortable. Please hide them for my sake. But crying isn't weakness. It's human. It's healing. I remember Evelyn, an 85-year-old woman in hospice care. One night, her daughter sat beside her as Evelyn wept. But instead of stopping her, she simply said, "You can cry, Mom. I'm right here." In that moment, Evelyn's tears weren't a burden. They were a bridge between hearts. She felt safe, seen, and deeply loved. So if you're with someone who begins to cry, don't rush to fix it. Don't say be strong. Just be there. Let the silence speak. Let your presence be the comfort. Because the ability to feel, even in pain, is part of what makes dying and living so beautifully human. #5. You're going to get better when hope hurts instead of helps. It's natural to want to offer hope. To look at someone we love and say, "You'll get better, I just know it." But when someone is truly dying, those words can quietly wound. Not because they're mean, but because they can feel like denial. Most people who are near the end, they know. They feel it in their bones, in their breath, in the quiet between doctor visits. Telling them they'll recover might make us feel better. But for them, it can feel like their truth is being erased. Imagine feeling afraid, reflective, perhaps even peaceful. And hearing someone insist, "Don't worry, you're going to bounce back." It creates distance when what they need is closeness. Take Mr. Bernard, age 86. He once told a hospice nurse, "I'm not afraid of what's coming. I just want people to accept it with me." He didn't want promises. He wanted presence. What brought him comfort weren't cheerful slogans, but quiet words like, "I'm here. I love you. I'm not going anywhere." True support in those moments isn't about fixing or convincing. It's about honoring what is. It's sitting beside someone and saying, "You don't have to pretend. I accept where we are." That honesty paired with love creates a safe space. A space where peace is possible. #6. Everything happens for a reason. The phrase that can steal comfort. You've probably heard it, or even said it. Everything happens for a reason. And while that phrase might be meant to soothe, for someone who is dying, it can feel empty, or even cruel. They may be in pain. They may be frightened. They may be searching for their own meaning in what's happening. And when someone else tries to define that meaning for them, it can feel like a silence forced over their truth. Clara, age 81, shared once, "When people said this was part of some plan, I felt like my suffering didn't matter, like it was being brushed aside." She didn't want a cosmic explanation. She wanted to be held, to be heard, to be seen as a whole person, not just a piece in a bigger puzzle. Hospice nurses often say, in those final weeks, days, or hours, what people want most is freedom to feel. Not judgment. Not slogans. Just someone to listen without trying to make sense of the pain. You don't have to explain their experience. You only need to walk beside them in compassion and silence. #7. Saying, "You need to make peace or forgive before you go." There's another phrase hospice nurses often hear, and it's one that seems helpful but can feel deeply uncomfortable. "You should make peace with everyone. Don't you want to forgive them before you go?" While the intention is often good, to encourage emotional healing, the truth is that not every relationship can or should be resolved, especially in the final days. I remember a woman named Dorothy, 86. She had a daughter she hadn't spoken to in 15 years. During her final days, well-meaning relatives kept pressuring her to call her. But Dorothy shared something profound. "Something's hurt too deep. I've made peace with not reopening old wounds." What she needed wasn't reconciliation, it was acceptance that her choices were valid. When we tell someone they must forgive or make amends before death, we may be putting our own idea of closure onto someone else's journey. But their peace doesn't have to look like ours. Sometimes real peace comes from letting things be. Instead of saying, "You should reach out." Say, "Is there anything you'd like to do or say?" That opens a door, without forcing them to walk through it. Your words can be a gentle bridge. In these deeply human moments, it's not the grand speeches that matter. It's not the clever phrases or borrowed lines. It's the truth in your voice, the gentleness in your presence, the courage to sit quietly and say, "I don't have all the answers, but I'm here." Whether it's your parent, your partner, your friend, your silence can speak more comfort than 100 words. Your presence can bring peace that even medicine cannot offer. So the next time you find yourself beside someone nearing the end, remember this. You don't need to fix anything. You just need to be fully present. With love, with patience, with acceptance. Thank you for joining us in this heartfelt journey. If you found value in this video, please comment below. I will choose presence over words. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with someone who may need to hear it. Because sometimes the best thing we can say is nothing at all.